Hey guys, Akio Murasaki here. Today I kind of want to talk a little bit about the general problems with publishing in gacha games and, well, some of the recent events related to Black Beacon, I guess, primarily, but also a little bit about Stella, Sora, and also Blue Archive. And in general, the general kind of dissatisfaction with the publishing of gacha games that a lot of the players seem to have, and a lot of these like unevennesses and disparities between how different publishers across regions, like global being like the Western market, and then China and also Japan, how kind of these different publishers differently treat their gacha games, and also as a result treat their customers. It's not great, honestly, looking at what is happening in the West, but yeah, let's get started. So as I said, Black Beacon primary topic today. The global launch was in 9th of April 2025. I think I've started playing the game either on the 10th or on the 11th, so very, very close to when it was available. I did really enjoy it, but one of the things I kind of want to mention here is that even though the game was in general very, very polished, amazing graphics, a very cool kind of like Middle Eastern story, but with like an anime atmosphere, very well done in that sense. Gameplay quite interesting. It's kind of like a dungeon, like a isometric dungeon crawling, kind of like a hack and slash, you could even say. So a little bit like Diablo, Path of Exile, but more instance based. So you don't run around like a massive map. You run around specific dungeons and stages. Has a lot of the typical gacha features like farming resources, for instance, and doing kind of resource stages. It's primarily energy based, so you spend energy like in a lot of other gacha games. Very, very generous publisher, I have to admit. Like very early on, I already had like 3 or 4 SSR characters, with one of them with I think 2 or 3 dupes even. 2 or 3 SSR weapons for these specific characters. They've been continuing this trend. There's definitely a lot of content coming out. I'm gonna show a trailer in just a second, but in general, I was very satisfied. But there was a bit of an if, several ifs actually. One of the ifs is that it simply doesn't have this something that would make it really stand out, especially if you're playing a lot of other gacha games. I guess if you have like a lineup like me very often of like 6 or 7 gacha games, that it just doesn't necessarily stand out as much compared to these other gacha games. And then the other is, the situation with the publisher and how the communities, how the Western side and Eastern side, specifically China, are being treated. I'm just going to show you a trailer first to kind of show you how the game looks like, in case you haven't seen it. Sorry, I'm instantly turning off the sound because it's very, very loud. Okay, so we have 2 characters. We have Florence. Florence, I think, was on the first... Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think Florence was on the first event banner, so the special... what's it called? I think it's typically called event banner, but basically on the first special banner. And then Zero is an SR character that you get very early on, and you also get dupes for her, so you can very easily upgrade her. She's pretty decent, but I don't actually had her past tense in any of my teams. I was typically running with like a team of whatever SSRs I had back then. Let's see here. I also had Arishan. So as you can see here, very nice. Very nice 3D, like very, very typical anime. Very polished in terms of overall character designs. So kind of like this general like ancient Middle Eastern vibes, but in general very, very flashy, very polished. You wouldn't be able to say that they're a copy of any of the other gacha games at all, like completely unique feel whatsoever, I have an impression. So I eventually had Arishan and her weapon, and as I said, it's mostly a hack and slash, very combo based and dodge based. And on top of this, you can also combine different elements together. for like elemental effects, and I think if you stack one element, you unleash some kind of special effect. Here you have Ninsar, who's a doll master. That's her golem. So all of the characters, by the way, in the main roster, even the SSR ones, very interesting personalities, very polished backstories as well. I'm pretty much glazing it right now. But why am I not playing it, right? But yeah, as I said, combo based, dodge based. One thing I did notice, however, is that even though you do get like all of the bigger attacks of enemies, like heavy attacks or area attacks, are actually telegraphed, but it's I somehow found it quite hard to dodge them nevertheless. But here's so for the global beta tester, that was just like one of the initial trailers. Yeah, we've been waiting for this game, I think, since end of last year, and more hyped this year in general. So if you guys want to try it, by the way, I have absolutely nothing against it. Highly recommend to at least give it a try if you like it. But now moving on to the issues, we have our man here, Sticks, on Twitter. I knew that this is happening when I was still playing Black Beacon. I can't remember. I think like 2 or so months ago. I've been rotating gachas very, very fast, so it's happening quick. But like around 2 months ago or so, I did know that there are some problems, and there's been a ton of announcements from the dev team on Twitter about like, oh, we're so sorry, we're having trouble, we're having problems with releasing these chapters. Apparently things have gotten now kind of really out of hand, and we have an update here from Sticks. The state of Black Beacon is pretty dire. According to Reddit, an update in China confirmed version 1.3 already. Version 1.3 is in steady development. We're at 1.2 right now, with chapter 8 of the main story coming to completion. And there's a new character, Balalaika, that is going to debut in chapter 8 as a limited series, so not an event, but like limited banners. And then, of course, there's an event. They also have events, spar events, as is the case in a lot of other gachas. They give you the special limited event banner tickets, I think for like a week or so. So every day you get one, and I think on the last day or so you get 2, or on every third day or so you get a little more. I can't exactly remember, but they were quite generous with this, so it's not just like one a day. And yeah, so Sticks here says that Global, on the other hand, gets an in-game message saying, due to persistent technical difficulties and a range of other complex issues, wonder what these are, we're currently unable to confirm a definite schedule for the version 1.3 update. We deeply apologize for the indefinite postponement and for our inability to deliver the new content as originally planned. After having been delayed for 1 to 2 months until this point. Okay, so maybe I was actually playing earlier than that. Maybe it was actually May. I was playing it mostly in May. So I didn't get very far in Black Beacon, I have to admit. I kind of put it on the side. And then, yeah, so for CN, so the Chinese server is of course getting, same publisher by the way, is getting tons of updates planned, and everything's being rolled out. I don't exactly understand what the issues here are, if it's an issue with the English voice acting, or because we don't really know. There is no transparency, and there has been no transparency before. So I think it could have been version 1.2 that I was seeing issues before already, and I was like, okay, that's not a big deal. I'm, anyhow treating this as a side gacha. I'm not very far. If things are not being released, that's also completely fine. I can wait. But basically, there was like a stream of, announcements on Twitter with apologies in game, with apologies, constantly apologies. And it just kind of feels weird because it in general feels like Global, for whatever reason, is just not getting the same quality. I don't know if it's the fact that Global is targeting a lot of different countries, so it has to comply with a lot of different norms. Even though when it comes to, for instance, nudity and stuff like this, I don't think in the West they would have any problem, because the designs, I would kind of say they're kind of like China sanitized a little bit. They're beautiful. But other than a leg here or there, you're not gonna see too much nudity in the game. Especially when it comes to the animations, nothing over the top. So there's definitely not that. Could have been translations that are the problem here. We can only speculate because we really don't know what the issue here is. But again, this is not, as I said earlier, this is not a new problem. We have, for instance, Yostar, which has been raking in a lot of bad press in the recent couple of years even, I'm gonna say. So we have another announcement here from Styx, that the Stella Sora situations has gotten so bad it's become to affect Arknight's Enfield and Azure Promelia as well. A little bit of context here, I'm not quite sure if this is being mentioned there or not really, but basically Yostar is a really big publisher covering since a while the Western markets, but also Japan and China. It's as far as, so this is kind of the weird part. It's a Chinese company, but it also has not a subsidiary, but it also has like a what is it called? They have their own kind of company, their own entity. Yes, they have their own entity also in Japan and a fairly big presence for their games. For instance, Blue Archive is being published by Yostar in Japan and I'm trying to remember, I think China as well. They are doing the publishing and release of Heaven Burns Red, even though Heaven Burns Red is developed by a different company. And I think this is mentioned here. Yes, so Arknight's Enfield and Azure Promelia, since that is also a topic here, they are developed by Hyperglyph. So Arknights, the entire Arknights franchise and property, that is Hyperglyph, just the development team. And then Manju does all of it did Azure Lane before, now it's also Azure Promelia that they're currently doing as their new upcoming game. By the way, it looks amazing. Please keep track of it. It's absolutely crazy how good it looks. So these are the two big titles. And other than that, Yostar also does publishing of Nexon's Blue Archive. And in general, they have like a lot of bad reputation because of how they handle their games. And so this kind of like publisher is doing a bad job in the West. I'm sorry to say, but this is at this point almost a standard. I'm gonna show some more examples here. So the Stella Sora situation is that there's been some changes to the names, for instance, of characters, which makes it very, very unnecessarily confusing. But also they've upped since the betas. They upped the pool costs. So not the typical 1,500, 1,500 per 10 pool, but I think it's now 3,000 per 10 pool, which is absolutely insane. I've only seen something like this in recently LP's Fallen Star, but also before that in Heaven Burns Red, and I think it's absolutely crazy because it's basically already too much. It's very hard to collect the currency to do a 10 pool. And yeah, here apparently the Stella team is addressing some of the issues they're apparently seeing. But that didn't really stop them from being absolutely shredded on Google Play. So for anyone who is now getting into the game, I still highly recommend you give it a try because the game is really good. I'm gonna have a separate video on Stella once I play for it a little bit and have a better opinion. But in general, the game is absolutely amazing. And here you see the reviews it's getting. It's absolutely getting shredded by the Western players, by the players of the global release, Yostar, as I mentioned. And here, for instance, this is a situation with so unfortunately I can't very easily get the reviews for the Japanese version. So the first review here, the one that's mentioned on top that I'm highlighting right now, this is for the actual Japanese version, and the one below that says 2.1, that is translated into Japanese, but that's from the global version actually. So there's a bit of like, which one is it, right? So it's absolutely the first one. There are no reviews yet from the Japanese players for some reason. But when we look at some of the previous games that Yoastar is handling, like Blue Archive here, I'm surprised it's quote unquote only 3.2 because it's been, as you can see, people are maybe trying to boost the reviews and started boosting because it was at 2 point something. When people were really upset with, oh, now I'm trying to remember, maybe it was not, Yoastar, Yoastar does the publishing for Japan and China, sorry, my bad. Nexon does for Korea and global because Nexon also has Nexon of America. So they can do the Western publishing as well. So yeah, so this in this case specifically, this is Nexon that is getting shredded by the players of Blue Archive. Currently sitting at 3.2. It used to be, I think, 2.7 or something. 1 year or 2 years after release, it's currently 5 years counting. It's been kind of hard downvoted. And then when you, for instance, look at the Japanese version here, that's what I'm looking at, the Japanese version. So here, for instance, yeah, I'm highlighting here the Japanese version. That's the actual Japanese version, is at 4.7 in reviews. So wow, blasting. So looking very, very good, okay? And I'm not surprised. It's a great game. Itself, it's a great game. But unfortunately, the way Nexon has been handling, here the main point of contention has not been really just the awards, I think. Because actually Nexon, and this pains me a lot, Nexon has been way more generous with some of the extra awards given than Yoastar in Japan, because they've been like they've not been giving the same awards for some of the quests and for some of the holidays. Here Nexon has been very, very generous. When I think it was like the the PC release of Blue Archive, I also went into that again. And this one has been very rich, I have to say. A lot of pools at the beginning to celebrate it. And then, but this is Nexon, okay? So like, if then the Yoastar is not celebrating that the PC client of Blue Archive has been released. They completely ignored this. But one other point of contention, one other thing that very often comes up and very often annoys players of global versions is how much behind the global release is of the original release. So for stuff like Blue Archive, it was first Korea and Japan. And I'm not sure about China, if it came out later or so. So the story hasn't been running. People have known about the game, played it. I played it in Japanese. Some people probably played it with some fan translations or something. And everyone has known about it. And people have been, deep into the lore, finished the current story, and then Global comes out, and Global's behind everything by events, by years at this point. And with, for instance, Heaven Burns Red, similar situation. The story is quite very far already. I don't remember which chapter. I'm in chapter 2. But a Global released, and then Global has, I think, only the complete chapter 1 or so, or only chapter 1 and 2 currently. And even though you're working on it, it's going to take a while. So people hear this and they're already kind of like, okay, I can't play the entire game, I can't enjoy the entire experience. And then you hear about all of the publishing shenanigans and you're like, oh no, why should I give this game even the time of my day? I could be playing an MMO or something. But that's basically where we're at. My personal prediction is that if Black Beacon, if Black Beacon sticks around, I'm afraid they might actually need to close down Global because it's really not looking good. They might do an end of service for Global. Whether that's actually going to happen, a very good question. I personally don't know, but so far it's not looking good. And honestly, all of the apologies are absolutely not doing anyone a favor. But that's it for this video. I will be in future videos talking more about Stella, Sora. I'll be talking about some of the other currently released gacha games, but also a little bit about Tower of Fantasy. So if you guys are looking forward to this, I see you around in the next one. Bye guys, mata ne!